Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Prajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 1, text 17. Actually 17 and 18, because 17 has no purport, and 18 has a very small purport. So, chapter 1, and anyone who may be watching, if you want to leave comments or questions, you can type it into your comments on the media that you're watching it on, and we'll address them later on in the class. Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Mantro Panishadam Vyaharantang Samahitam Drishtavasura Yaturdana Jagdum Abhyadravam Kshuda Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Mantro Panishadam Vyaharantang samahitam Krishtva Suraya Turdana Jagdum Abhyadravam Kshuda Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Mantropanishadam Vyaharantang Samahitam Drishtva Suraya Turdana Jagdum Abhyadravan Kshuda Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Mantropanishadam Vyaharantang Samahitam Krishvasura Yaturdhana Jagdum Abhyadravam Shuda Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Mantropanishadam Vyaharantang Samahitam Krishvasura Yaturdhana Jagdum Abhyavadam Shuda. Go ahead, Jiva. Oh, okay. Maybe tomorrow. Shri Shuka Uvacha Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Iti thus Mantra Upanisham the Vedic mantra uttered by Swayambhuva Manu Vyaharantam taught or chanted Samahitam concentrated the mind without being agitated by material conditions. Drishtva, upon seeing him, Asuraha, the demons, Chaturdanaha, the Rakshasas, Jagdum, desired to devour, Abhyadravam, running very fast, Kshuda, to satisfy their appetite. Translation. Shukadev Goswami continued, Swayambhuva Manu was thus in a trance, chanting the mantras of Vedic instruction known as the Upanishads. Upon seeing him, the Rakshasas and Asuras, being very hungry, wanted to devour him. Therefore, they ran after him with great speed. Repeat after me. Shukadev Goswami continued, Swayambhuva Manu was thus in a trance, chanting the mantras of Vedic instruction known as the Upanishads. Upon seeing him, the Rakshasas and Asuras, being very hungry, wanted to devour him. Therefore, they ran after him with great speed. Just like we were saying the other day, even on the heavenly planets, there are problems. All facility for material enjoyment, but here are Rakshasas and Asuras coming to actually eat somebody who's in a very high position. So there's no purport on this one. So we'll chant the next verse. Tongues tata vasitam viksha yagna sarva kato hari yamai pari vrito devayar Ashat Trivishtapam Tangstata Vasitang Viksha Yagna Sarva Kato Hari Yamai Pari Vrito Devayar Yamai Pari Vrito Devayar Hatvashasat Tri Vrishtapan Tangstata Vasitan Vriksha Yagna Sarva Kato Hari Yamai Parivrito Devayar Hatva Satri Vishtapam Tangstata Vasitang Viksha Yagna Sarva Kato Hari Yamai Parivrito Devayar Hatva Satri Vishpatam Tan, the demons and Rakshasas. Tata, in that way, Avasitan, who were determined to devour Swayambhuva Manu. Visha, upon observing Yagnaha, Lord Vishnu, known as Yagya, Sarvakataha, who is seated in everyone's heart. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yamai, with his sons named the Yamas. Parivrataha, surrounded. Devai are the demigods. Hatva, after killing the demons. Ashasat, ruled, taking the post of Indra. Tri Vishtapan, the heavenly planets. Translation: the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, who sits in everyone's heart, appearing as Yagyapati, observed that the Rakshasas and demons were going to devour Swayambhuva Manu. Thus, the Lord, accompanied by his sons, named the Yamas, and by all the other demigods, killed the demons and Rakshasas. He then took the post of Indra and began to rule the heavenly kingdom. Repeat after me. The Supreme Lord Vishnu, who sits in everyone's heart, appearing as Yagyapati, observed that the Rakshasas and demons were going to devour Swayambhuva Manu. Thus the Lord, accompanied by his sons, named the Yamas, and by all the other demigods, killed the demons and Rakshasas. He then took the post of Indra and began to rule the heavenly kingdom. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The various names of the demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, and so on, are not personal names. They are names of different posts. In this regard, we understand that Lord Vishnu sometimes becomes Brahma or Indra when there is no suitable person to occupy those posts. Okay? That's all the purport. So Lord Vishnu, he makes sure every post in the universe is covered, and if there's no living entity that's qualified to take a certain post, then he just does it himself. So sometimes Lord Brahma is actually Lord Vishnu. Sometimes Lord Indra is. It doesn't mention. It says sometimes becomes Lord Brahma or Indra, and Lord Shiva is a special personality anyway. Lord Shiva is basically like Lord Vishnu, but Lord Vishnu directly in contact with the material world. So the example is given. What is the difference between Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva? Basic difference is that Lord Vishnu can take the form of Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva cannot. It doesn't go backwards. And the example given, the analogy given, is milk being made into yogurt. You can make milk into yogurt, but you can't make yogurt into milk. It doesn't work backwards. So Lord Shiva is like the yogurt. It's a transformation of the milk. But Lord Shiva cannot transform himself back into the form of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Shiva has almost all the same, there's 64 qualities. It says the ordinary living entities can have up to, how many? 56, I think. 56 or 57 of those 64 qualities. And these qualities are all given in Nectar Devotion. And I forget which chapter right off, but it's the qualities. There's 64 qualities. So the ordinary living entities can have, in a very, very small degree, about 57 of those qualities, or thereabout. And then some of the demigods, like Lord Shiva or Brahma, they can have more, or Brahma doesn't change his. And we'll have to read the Nectar Devotion. I don't remember exactly, but there's certain qualities they sometimes manifest that none of the other demigods manifest. And then higher is the form of Lord Vishnu, or Lord Narayan, and then the highest, who has all 64, only form of the Lord that has all 64 qualities is Krishna in his original form. He's always surrounded by his loving devotees, that intimate relationship. He plays a flute, right? Or Krishna doesn't play a flute. Krishna is this is special for Krishna. He sorry, I don't remember the other ones at all. But there are four qualities that Krishna has that nobody else has, even any other incarnation of the Lord. Like that. So that's the difference. So this is a very short purport, and then I can go on about so many things here. But I'd like to keep focus on incarnations, since that's the real purport, the real purpose of this purport. So, teaching to Lord Chaitanya, there is a chapter called the Avatars, and I would like to read that chapter as far as we can have time for. 84. The Avatars. So, Lord Chaitanya continued to explain to Sanatana Goswami that the expansions of Lord Krishna who come to this material creation are called avatars, or incarnations. The word avatar means one who descends. And in this case, the word specifically refers to one who descends from the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And from these planets, the expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead come into this universe. The first descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the expansion of Sankarshan is the Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu. It is confirmed in the Srimad-bhagavatam, 1st canto, 3rd chapter, 1st verse, that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends as the first Purusha incarnation of the material creation, he immediately manifests 16 elementary energies. Known as the Mahavishnu, he lies within the causal ocean, and it is he who is the original incarnation in the material world. He is the Lord of time, nature, cause and effect, mind, ego, the 5 elements, the 3 modes of nature, the senses, and the universal form. Although he is a master of all objects, movable and immovable in the material world, he is totally independent. The influence of material nature cannot reach beyond the viraja, or causal ocean, as confirmed in the Srimad-bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, verse 10. The modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, as well as material time, have no influence on the Vaikuntha planets. On these planets, the liberated associates of Krishna live eternally, and they are worshipped both by the demigods and by the demons. That's interesting. They're actually worshipped by the demons. Material nature acts in 2 capacities, as Maya and as Pradhana. Maya is the direct cause, and Pradhana refers to the elements of the material manifestation. When the first Purusha avatar, Mahavishnu, glances over the material nature becomes agitated, and the Purusha avatar thus impregnates matter with living entities. Simply by the glance of the Mahavishnu, consciousness is created, and this consciousness is known as Mahatattva. The predominating deity of the Mahatattva is Vasudeva. The created consciousness is then divided into three departmental activities according to the three gunas, or modes of material nature. Consciousness in the mode of goodness is described in the 11th canto of Srimad-bhagavatam. The predominating deity of the mode of goodness is called Aniruddha. Consciousness in the mode of material passion produces intelligence, and the predominating deity in this case is Prajna. He is the master of the senses. Consciousness in the mode of ignorance causes the production of ether, the sky, and the sense of hearing. The cosmic manifestation is a combination of all these modes, and in this way, innumerable universes are created. No one can count the number of universes. No one can count the number of universes. So it's not just one universe, there are unlimited. These innumerable universes are produced from the pores of Mahavishnu's body. As innumerable particles of dust pass through tiny holes in a screen, similarly, from the pores of the Mahavishnu's body, innumerable universes emanate. As he breathes out, innumerable universes are produced, and as he inhales, they are annihilated. All of the energies of the Mahavishnu are spiritual, and they have nothing to do with the material energy. In the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 48, it is stated that the predominating deity of each universe, Brahma, lives only during one breath of Mahavishnu. This Mahavishnu is the original supersoul of all the universes, and the master of all universes as well. The second Vishnu incarnation is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The second incarnation, the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, enters each and every universe, spreads water from his body, and lies down on that water. From his navel, the stem of a lotus flows, and on that lotus flower, the first creature, Brahma, is born. Within the stem of the lotus flower are 14 divisions of planetary systems, which are created by Brahma. Within each universe, the Lord is present as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and he maintains each universe and tends to its needs. Although he is within each material universe, the influence of material energy cannot touch him. When it is required, this very same Vishnu takes the form of Lord Shiva. So the same Garbhodakshai Vishnu also sometimes takes the form of Lord Shiva and annihilates the cosmic creation. The three secondary incarnations, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are the predominating deities of the three modes of material nature. The master of the universe, however, is the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is worshipped as the Hiranyagarbha supersoul. The Vedic hymns describe him as having thousands of heads. Although he is within the material nature, he is not touched by it. The third incarnation of Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, is also an incarnation of the mode of goodness. He is also the supersoul of all living entities, and he resides on the ocean of milk within the universe. Thus, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the Purusha avatars. So we have Mahavishnu, and from him comes who creates all the universes, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who gives birth to Lord Brahma, and all the planets are already within the stem of this lotus flower that Lord Brahma was on, and then within the heart of every living entity, although it's not mentioned here, even within the atom, the supersoul is there. Even the smallest particle that is known to anyone. It's so small you can't even see it, but the Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is there. That's the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu here, and the same Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is. So in that way, the Lord is for the Lord to be complete, he's got to have all these different qualities. So he's definitely the biggest, like Mahavishnu, and he's the smallest. The Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is within even an atom. So that's part of the completeness of the Lord. Yeah, that's yeah, and also the ocean of milk. Yes. Yeah, it's Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. That's the form. Yes, that's when the demigods get in problem, and they pray. So like when 5,000 years ago, when Bhumi, the personified earth, was in anxiety because of all the demoniac Kshatriya forces that were on the earth, and all the bad things are happening, and all the cheating and lying and non-Krishna conscious things. So she went to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma went with the demigods to the ocean of milk, the ocean of the sweet planet. And they said they didn't directly. I don't think they could see the Lord out there, but on the ocean of milk. But Lord Brahma was communicating with them mentally, and the Lord gave him that instruction that don't worry, I will be coming soon, and all the demigods before I come, all the demigods need to take birth in various families within like the Yadu dynasty and so on, and to assist the Lord in his pastimes when he did appear. So, going on, Lord Chaitanya next described the Leela avatars, or pastime avatars. And of these, the Lord pointed out that there is no limit. However, he describes some of them, for example, Matsya, Korma, Raghunath, Nrsinga, Vamana, and Varaha. As far as the Guna avatars, or qualitative incarnations of Vishnu, are concerned, they are three: Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is one of the living entities, but due to his devoted service, he is very powerful. This primal living entity, master of the mode of material passion, is directly empowered by the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu to create innumerable living entities. He's creating the bodies of the living entities, because the soul's already there. In the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 49, Brahma is likened to valuable jewels influenced by the rays of the sun, and the sun is likened to the Supreme Lord Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. If in some kalpa there is no suitable living entity capable of acting in Brahma's capacity, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu himself manifests as Brahma and acts accordingly. Same thing we just read in the Srimad-bhagavatam verse. Similarly, by expanding himself as Lord Shiva, the Supreme Lord is engaged when there is a need to annihilate the universe. Lord Shiva, in association with Maya, has many forms, which are generally numbered as 11. Lord Shiva is not one of the living entities. He is more or less Krishna himself. The example of milk and yogurt is often given in this regard. Yogurt is a preparation of milk, but still yogurt cannot be used as milk. Similarly, Lord Shiva is an expansion of Krishna, but he cannot act as Krishna. Nor can we derive spiritual restoration from Lord Shiva, nor can we derive the spiritual restoration from Lord Shiva that we derive from Krishna. The essential difference is that Lord Shiva has a connection with the material nature, but Vishnu or Lord Krishna has nothing to do with the material nature. In the Srimad-bhagavatam 10th canto, 88th chapter, 3rd verse, it is stated that Lord Shiva is a combination of three kinds of transformed consciousness known as Vaikarika, Taijasa, and Tamasa. The Vishnu incarnation, although master of the modes of goodness within each universe, is in no way to touch. The Vishnu incarnation, although master of the modes of goodness within each universe, is in no way in touch with the influence of the material nature. Although Vishnu is equal to Krishna, Krishna is the original source, Vishnu is a part, but Krishna is the whole. This is the version given by Vedic literatures. In Brahma Samhita, the example is given of an original candle which lights a second candle. Although both candles are of equal power, one is accepted as the original, and the other is said to be kindled from the original. The Vishnu expansion is like a second candle. He is as powerful as Krishna, but the original Vishnu is Krishna. The original Vishnu is Krishna. Brahma and Lord Shiva are obedient servants of the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord as Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna. After describing the Leela and Guna avatars, Lord Chaitanya explains the Manvantar avatars to Sanatana Goswami. He first states that there is no possibility of counting the Manvantar avatars. In one kalpa, or one day of Brahma, 14 manus are manifest. One day of Brahma is calculated at 4,320,000,000 years. And Brahma lives for 100 years on this scale. Thus, if 14 manus appear in one day of Brahma, there are 420 manus during 1 month of Brahma, and during 1 year of Brahma, there are 5,040 manus. Since Brahma lives for 100 of his years, it is calculated that there are 504,000 manus manifest during the lifetime of one Brahma. Since there are innumerable universes, no one can imagine the totality of Manvantara incarnations. Because all the universes are produced simultaneously by the exhalation of Mahavishnu, no one can begin to calculate how many manus are manifest at one time. Each manu, however, is called by a different name. The first manu is called Swayambhuva. We're reading about the Srimad-bhagavatam right now. And he is the son of Brahma. The second manu, Swarochisha, is the son of the predominating deity of fire. The third manu is Uttama, and he is the son of King Priyavrata. The fourth manu, Tamasa, is the brother of Uttama. The fifth manu, called Raivata, and the sixth manu, Chakshusha, are both brothers of Tamasa, but Chakshusha is the son of Chakshu. The seventh manu is called Vivaswata, and he is the son of the sun god. The eighth Manu is called Savarni, and he is also a son of the sun god, born of a wife named Chaya. The ninth Manu, Nakshas Savarni, is the son of Varuna. The 10th Manu, Brahma Sarvani, is the son of Upashloka. Four other Manus are known as Rudra Savarni, Dharma Savarni, Deva Savarni, and Indra Savarni. After describing the Manu incarnations, Lord Chaitanya explained the Yuga avatars to Sanatana Goswami. There are four yugas or millennia: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. And in each millennium, the Supreme Lord incarnates, and each incarnation has a different color according to the yuga. In Satya Yuga, the color of the principal incarnation is what color? For Satya, white. In the Treta Yuga, the color is red. That's the red incarnation. In the Dwapara Yuga, the color is blackish. It's Krishna. And in the Kali Yuga, the color of the principal incarnation is gold, yellow, it says here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is confirmed in the Srimad-bhagavatam, 10th canto, 8th chapter, 13th verse, by the astrologer Bhargava, who calculated Krishna's horoscope in the house of Nanda Maharaj. In the Satya Yuga, the process of self-realization was meditation, and this process is taught by the white incarnation of God. This incarnation gave a benediction to the sage Kardama, by which he could have an incarnation of the personality of Godhead as his son. In the Satya Yuga, everyone meditated on Krishna, and each and every living entity was in full knowledge. In this present age, Kali Yuga, people who are not in full knowledge are still attempting this meditative process, which was recommended in a previous age, yoga practice. The process for self-realization recommended in the Treta millennium was the performance of sacrifice, and this was taught by the red incarnation of God. In the Dwapara millennium, Krishna was personally present, and he was worshipped by everyone by the mantra Namaste Vasudevaya Nama Sankarshanaya Nama Sankarshanaya Prajunai Anirudhaya Tubhyang Bhagavate Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Prajuna, and Aniruddha. End quote. This was the process of self-realization for Dwapara Yuga. In the next millennium, this present age of Kali Yuga, the Lord incarnates to preach the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. In this age, the Lord is yellow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he teaches people love of God by chanting the names of Krishna. This teaching is carried out personally by Krishna, and he exhibits love of God by chanting, singing, and dancing with thousands of people following him. This particular incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is foretold in the Srimad-bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, 32nd verse. Anyone know the verse? Krishna Varnam Krishna Krishnan Sangopandastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumeda Shaha. Quote, in the age of Kali, the Lord incarnates as a devotee, yellowish in color, and is always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Although he is Krishna, his complexion is not blackish like Krishna's in Dwapara Yuga, but is golden. It is in Kali Yuga that the Lord engages in preaching love of Godhead through the Sankirtan movement, and those living entities who are intelligent adopt this process of self-realization. End quote. So actually, intelligence actually means, according to one of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita reports, intelligence means the ability to analyze a situation in proper perspective. So someone has that ability to analyze that this is the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, and actually follows this process. They're considered to be intelligent. It's not PhDs and all that. That's a lot of information, but it's not intelligence in the sense of what's referred to as intelligence in Vedic knowledge. It is also stated in the Srimad-bhagavatam 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 52nd verse, Kriteya Jayato Vishnum Pretayang Najato Makai Dwapare Paricharyayang Kulo Tadari Kirtanat. Quote, the self-realization which was achieved in the Satya millennium by meditation, in the Treta millennium by the performance of different sacrifices, and in the Dwapara millennium by worship of Lord Krishna, can be achieved in the age of Kali simply by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna. End quote. This is also confirmed in the Vishnu Purana 6.2.17, where it is stated, Dayan Kute Yajan Yagyais Tretayan Dwapare Richayan Yad Apnoti Tad Apnoti Kalo Sankirtya Keshavam. In this age, there is no use in meditation, sacrifice, and temple worship. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one can achieve perfect self-realization. End quote. It says that there's no, in this age, there's no need, in this age, there's no use in meditation, sacrifice, and temple worship. We do temple worship. Actually, we do sacrifices too, fire sacrifices. Okay. But as far as the method for self-realization for the people in general, no. Deity worship is important because well, for one thing, it requires some regulation. You know, Srila when he talks about deity worship, the first thing he says is Mongol Arti, because that's part of it. It's an important part of it. So Mongol Arti, and then of course regulated activities, and plus of course Krishna is here, deities here. Krishna as a deity is here in his personal form. So we really require that personal association in that sense to go on as our spiritual life. We can sit down, we can chant Hare Krishna a lot, but if we don't also have that, we're not seeing the deities regularly, it makes a difference. I used to go out, well, a little bit. I went out I did some Sankirtan way back. and you'd use a traveling sanctuary. So there's no, at least when we were out there, there's no deity worship, there's no regulation. You got up when you got up. There's no temple president to tell you make sure you're up for Mongol artsy. So we went out there, chant your rounds, and when you feel you're ready, you go out and try to sell some books. We didn't sell all that many books, but what I do remember was you couldn't be out very long before you started feeling it became difficult because you're accustomed to you're in the temple, and the temple, every day you will get up at a certain time. Every day you're going to sing the Mongol Arctic song. Every day you're going to hear hearing hearing or speaking Srimad-bhagavatam Class. And of course you're seeing the deities every day. They got that personal relationships there. So you can say that book distribution most important, more important than anything. But without deity worship in our lives, then it's very difficult to do everything else. So the temples and the deity worship is actually very important. But as the primary source or means of self-realization in Kali Yuga, no. It's because for the primary means, most people in general in the world are not going to do deity worship. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to keep any kind of regulated program of deity worship in their home. Right now in the world, how many people don't even believe in deities? And some religions, they don't even accept it for a personal form of the Lord at all, right? So deity worship as a means of self-realization does not work. And we chant Hare Krishna. We understood that as the primary means. The general principle is to chant the holy names of the Lord. And in every religion, there is some form. There's some names that the Lord is known by. There's always some name, and so they also could chant, glorify, and sing those names of the Lord. So that's a general principle. But chanting Hare Krishna, because it was given by Lord Chaitanya, and of course Krishna, his name, Krishna is in that Krishna in the form of his name is as powerful as he is. So that chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the most effective. But the general principle is like that. And every religion, well, I can't say every religion, I haven't studied them all, but I know Christianity and I know Judaism. There's mention of praising the name of the Lord. The Christians have the prayer, the Lord's Prayer. My Father, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. So that means to worship. They recognize the name of God is very important. Like that. So that is there in every religion, but it's and in this age, Lord Chaitanya gave that, particularly the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, as the means for self-realization. Let's go on here. I only have a couple more pages. When Lord Chaitanya described the incarnation for the age of Kali, Sanatana Goswami, who had been a government minister and was perfectly capable of drawing conclusions, directly asked the Lord, how can one understand the advent of an incarnation? By the description of the incarnation for the Kali millennium, Sanatana Goswami could understand that Lord Chaitanya was indeed that incarnation of Krishna, and he could also understand that in the future there would be many people who would try to imitate Lord Chaitanya. because the Lord played as an ordinary Brahmana, despite the fact that his devotees accepted him as an incarnation. Since Sanatana knew that there would be many pretenders, he asked the Lord, how can one understand the symptoms of an incarnation? That's an intelligent question. Quote, as one can understand the different incarnations for different millenniums by referring to Vedic literatures, the Lord replied, one can similarly understand who is actually the incarnation of Godhead in the age of Kali. End quote. In this way, the Lord especially stressed reference to authoritative scriptures. In other words, one should not whimsically accept a person as an incarnation, but should try to understand the characteristics of an incarnation by referring to the scriptures. An incarnation of the Supreme Lord never declares himself to be an incarnation, but his followers must ascertain who is an incarnation and who is a pretender by referring to authoritative scriptures. So, even though Lord Chaitanya was actually incarnation, actually Srila says Krishna himself, but he sometimes referred to an incarnation too. Even though he was understood like that, he never personally claimed himself to be an incarnation. He didn't claim himself to be. He would, in fact, if somebody started saying something, he would cover his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. You didn't want to hear it. He was showing the example. Okay, don't, because he was definitely playing the part of a devotee. Any intelligent person can understand the characteristics of an avatar by understanding two features. The principal feature called personality and the marginal features. In the scriptures, there are descriptions of the characteristics of the body and the activities of an incarnation, and the description of the body is the principal feature by which an incarnation can be identified. The activities of the incarnation are the marginal features. This is confirmed in the beginning of the Srimad-bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, where the features of an avatar are nicely described. In that verse, the terms Param and Satyam are used, and Lord Chaitanya indicated that these words reveal Krishna's principal feature. The other marginal features indicate that he taught Vedic knowledge to Brahma and incarnated as the Purusha avatar to create the cosmic manifestation. These are occasional features manifested for some special purposes. One should be able to understand and distinguish the principal and marginal features of an avatar. No one can declare himself to be an incarnation without referring to these two features. An intelligent man will not accept anyone as an avatar without studying the principal and marginal features. When Sanatana Goswami tried to confirm Lord Chaitanya's personal characteristics as being those of an incarnation of this age, Lord Chaitanya himself indirectly made the confirmation by simply saying, let us leave aside all these discussions and continue with a description of the Shaktivesh avatars. Sidestepped there. So he answered without actually him saying no, he didn't say yes, he was going to something else. The Lord then pointed out that there is no limit to the Shaktivesh avatars, and that they cannot be counted. However, some can be mentioned as examples. The Shaktivesh avatars are of two kinds, direct and indirect. When the Lord himself comes, he is called Sakshat, or a direct Shaktivesh avatar. And when he empowers some living entity to represent him, that living entity is called an indirect or Avesh incarnation. The examples of indirect avatars are the four Kumaras, Narada, Prithu, Parashuram, and Parshuram. These are actually living entities, but there is specific power given to them by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a specific opulence of the Supreme Lord is invested in special entities, they are called Avesh avatars. The four Kumaras specifically represent the Supreme Lord's opulence of what? No, knowledge. Narada represents the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Devotional service is also represented by Lord Chaitanya, who is considered to be a full representation of devotional service. In Brahma, the opulence of creative power is invested, and in King Prithu, the power for what is invested? You know who King Prithu is?
Yeah.
So King Prithu, power for maintaining the living entities is invested, basically administrative power. Similarly, in Parashuram, the power for killing evil elements is invested. As far as Vibhuti, or the special favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is concerned, it is described in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that a living entity who appears to be especially powerful or beautiful should be known to be especially favored by the Supreme Lord. Examples of direct or sakshat avatars are the Shesha incarnation and the Ananta incarnation. In Ananta, the power for sustaining all the planets is invested. And in the Shesha incarnation, the power for serving the Supreme Lord is invested. After describing the Shaktavesh incarnations, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak about the age of the Supreme Lord. He said that the Supreme Lord Krishna is always like a 16-year-old boy. And when he desires to descend on this universe, he first of all sends his father and mother, who are his devotees, and then he invents himself as an incarnation, or he comes personally. All his activities, beginning with the killing of the Putana demon, are displayed in innumerable universes, and there's no limit to them. Indeed, at every moment, at every second, his manifestations and various pastimes are seen in different universes, Brahmandas. Thus, his activities are like the waves of the Ganges River. Just as there is no limit to the flowing of the rivers of the Ganges, there is no cessation of Lord Krishna's incarnations in different universes. From childhood, he displays many pastimes, and ultimately he exhibits the rasa dance. Maybe we may read this in the last couple of paragraphs, but that's why Krishna's pastimes are called eternal pastimes. They're eternal. Of course, they're eternal in the spiritual world. They're also eternally manifest in the material world, because he's always, when he finishes killing Putin here, he's starting that pastime in another universe. So he's appearing in so many universes at once, constantly. It is said that all the pastimes of Krishna are eternal, and this is confirmed in every scripture. Generally, people cannot understand how Krishna performs his pastimes, but Lord Chaitanya clarified this by comparing his pastimes to the orbit of the earth about the sun. According to the Vedic astrological calculations, the 24 hours of a day and night are divided into 60 dandas. The days are again divided into 3,600 palas. The sun disk can be perceived in every 60 palas, and that time constitutes a danda. 8 dandas make one prahara, and the sun rises and sets within 4 praharas. Similarly, the 4 praharas constitute one night, and after that the sun rises. Similarly, all the pastimes of Krishna can be seen in any of the universes, just as the sun can be seen in its movement through 3,600 palas. Lord Krishna remains in this universe for only 125 years, but all the pastimes of that period are exhibited in each and every universe. These pastimes include his appearance, his boyhood activities, his youth, and his later pastimes up to those pastimes at Dwarka. Since all of these pastimes are present in one or another of the myriad universes at any given time, they are called eternal. Okay, that's what I was just saying. They're all considered eternal pastimes because they're always exhibited in one of the universes at some point. The sun is eternally existing, although we see it rise and set, appear and disappear, according to our position on the planet. Similarly, the Lord's pastimes are going on, although we can see them manifest in this particular universe only at certain intervals. His abode in the supreme planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, his abode is the supreme planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, and by his will, this Goloka Vrindavan is manifested in this universe and in other universes as well. Thus, the Lord is always in his supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, and by his supreme will, his activities there are also manifested in innumerable universes. When he appears in those particular places, and in every manifestation, his 6 opulences are displayed. And that's the end of that chapter. Any questions, comments? Into the microphone, please.
I think what I was thinking about when we were talking about the need for worship, about the faith of the children of the in general, just knowing my background and what I have to do, was it something was missing? That personal connection was missing. Children having a personal connection and relationship was a big challenge because I close my eyes and just picture what just picture the name of Pastor and I have to it wasn't until I saw the movie that everything made sense to me. And really so for me, that really resonated in the class that it's very important to have that. I thought it was you can only do so much, but again, revelation and also the need of that personal connection, something stays missing until you have that.
Yes. And that deity worship, was not the primary method for self-realization for this age. It is, without it, we would have a very hard time chanting Hare Krishna. So it is important. And when one becomes completely self-realized, and you can just chant Hare Krishna all the time, but then he's fully realizing Krishna in the form of his name. But to help us to come to that platform, then deity worship is also important. Or many things that we're doing are important. Our whole program, hearing the philosophy regularly, the deity service, working cooperatively amongst devotees, even though sometimes it's a challenge, like that. All these things, everything that Srila Prabhupada said in ISKCON is very important for helping us to become fully Krishna conscious. And once we do become fully Krishna conscious, then then we could sit down and just chant Hare Krishna at that point. But of course, when we get to that point, we won't just sit down and chant Hare Krishna because we'll be madly trying to make the rest of the world Krishna conscious, like that.
Goes back to is there 7 models? Like, 14 is the day.
14 in one day of Brahma.
We're on the 7th. So like halfway through the day?
Probably. Actually, I'm not sure which one we're on.
Okay.
There were,
like 6 or 7.
yeah, there were. That's about how many were mentioned here. In a day of Brahma, I think there must be a lot more than that that have passed.
Yeah. I think it was, you said 14 in one day, and then there's 30 days in a month.
Yeah, and 12 months in a year.
I just saw it, yeah, and then are we halfway through the year of Brahma, a lifetime of Brahma?
I believe it's about half now.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, we're like halfway through the life of Brahma, and then halfway through the day, whatever day that is.
I'm not sure about the day part of it, but yeah, it could be halfway through the day, and I don't.
I'll look it up later, yeah, 'cause I think I heard the 7th month was 14.
In a day, yes, it's about that, and there are about around 7 manus listed here, weren't there?
It's like one of those things that it's like fascinating, it's not super helpful in devotional service to know that, it's just a detail.
Yes.
But it's fascinating to see the scope of time and then realize how many our time, the day is even long, but life is long.
Yeah, and Lord Brahma's his entire life is one breath of Mahavishnu. Lord Brahma just was born and died. And then not just one Lord Brahma, but thousands, unlimited universes, and all the Brahmas in it. Everything's created and destroyed, or destroyed and created, like that. So, which makes makes the material world, although it's important as far as us being here to practice Krishna consciousness, but makes everything else seem really insignificant. So better we use our time that we are here, in a very short human life, especially in Kali Yuga, where our life is short compared to the previous ages. And we use that time the best we can to become Krishna conscious. Because that's really what we're in the material world for, so that we can become Krishna conscious and then go back to Krishna's eternal abode where there's no time, there's no mode of passion, there's no mode of ignorance. Passion is represented by, or is accompanied by creation, or Brahma, like he's empowered to create the universe. So and Lord Shiva is empowered to destroy everything, and Lord Vishnu maintains the hardest part, is maintaining. So, but in the spiritual world, there's no passion, there's no ignorance, which means there's also no creation and there's no destruction. Everything is eternally there. And Krishna in the spiritual world, he always he's always the same age, which is the best age, with the age when he can associate with the gopis and everything like that. And when he appears in the material world, and he grows up like that. But in the spiritual world, he's always that ideal age. He stays that way eternally there. I'm very much overtime today. So we'll end here. Thank you for coming to the class. I'm not sure. Close to that.